Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got a special guest.
Too nice, man.
Now you know it's your special.
Nice.
Come on, you're a special guest,
you're
man. And
too
for
nice, man.
obviously people don't know, but I actually know you for a very, very long time. It's the wonderful Mina.
Thank you for having me. You need to answer for your crimes, but we're gonna get into it.
We're gonna get to it. Slow down. Slow down. You're already trying to.
Sorry.
Slow down. But of course, yeah, we will definitely.
My bad.
There are some things I do definitely need to answer. But yeah, today's video is basically ranking Manchester United managers post-Fergie. So we're literally gonna go through each one and kind of give them a ranking on the sense of, obviously, none of them have really been successful like that, but we're kind of going to judge them based on how much we think they've done well in comparison to the others.
Okay.
And then we just kind of give them a position at the end.
So the benchmark is the managers that we're comparing, not Sir Alex Ferguson.
Not Sir Alex Ferguson.
Cool,
Now,
cool,
come
cool.
on. That's
because people like to do that.
Yeah,
a lot of people like to do that
and
base their success off of Sir Alex Ferguson. So, okay, cool.
Yeah, we'll do that. No, we'll keep it relative to what they've done, basically, essentially. So, yeah, we'll start fresh with our current manager, Ruben Amorim. Obviously, he's under big scrutiny at the moment. That's
being too nice. I think you say big scrutiny.
I know it is. I'll be honest with you. I woke up this morning. I was still angry. And just to let people know, we are at the time of recording. This is the day after the Brentford loss. So you can imagine this morning I still woke up a bit angry. I'm trying to not get myself angry and wound up right now, because I've had that time to kind of vent and get all those emotions out. But yeah, I thought we'd start there. How are you feeling? Like you talk to me. What do you think about Amorim? What do you think about his time at Man United so far? And like, what's your view?
I'll be real, yeah. Coming into Amorim's tenure, I think everyone was excited. But it's more so just because of the struggles under Ten Hag. Everyone's thinking young manager, fresh, kind of has a rigid system. I think we underestimated how rigid his system really was coming into his time at Manchester United. I'm really upset. I'm disappointed. I think upset is not the right way. I think disappointed is, because I think the fresh face, fresh ideas, all of this kind of thing, coming in, making a stamp on the team, he got rid of Rashford, benched Anthony, did all of this stuff. And everyone was like, okay, let's get behind this manager. And it's just, it's been tough. Yesterday, I really deeped it. Amorim has not won double-digit games in the Premier League yet. And we're approaching nearly 12 months of his time at the club. And you've only got 9 wins in the entire league. And he's played near enough to about 38 games, just not that far off it in terms of the number of games that he's played in the league. I think that loss in the Europa League final was, now looking back in hindsight, that should have been the moment for him to go. It should have been, because I think, look at Al Ittihad. They got rid of Laurent Blanc today. Did you see that?
Yeah, I seen that.
Al Ittihad got rid of Laurent Blanc today, and his crime was losing to Al Nassr. Despite the fact that he did the double last season, and he won 3 out of 4 games.
Yeah, do you know what it is? It's I'm with you. I think he said it right. Like, it's the disappointment. I gave him grace last season.
You gave him a lot.
I gave him grace.
There's a new word for grace for what you gave him.
What did I give him?
You gave him a Liban.
The Liban.
Beyond grace.
Nah, do you know what it is? It's like, we've been in this position before where we blame managers, and it's always easy target to just blame the manager, given the fact that Ten Hag, see, I'm already kind of going there. I'm already going there. But obviously coming after Ten Hag, Amorim, it's he came to a situation where it was very messy. He was doing more of a cleanup job, I felt, last season. And I think I felt like he was still trying to figure out what players are good enough for his system and what players weren't. And that's why I kind of gave him that grace, because we were already poor before he came. Do you know what I mean? Like,
but don't you think Ten Hag came into a relatively similar situation?
But he had a summer, though. That's the difference, I feel like.
I don't. What changes in 8 weeks? Honestly speaking, what changes from a summer and a pre-season and the players that you bring in, if the root of the problem isn't, the entire 23, 24-man squad that you have? Right now, Amorim's problem for me is it's not the squad. It's because I don't look at this team and I think this is a team that are 14th place.
No,
type
impossible.
Kind of team,
no.
Losing away to many different teams. I look at this team and think this team is good enough to go out 90 minutes against any team and try and win the game or try and get a result of its kind. I think the root of the problem with Amorim in comparison to when Ten Hag came in, I think Ten Hag had that summer, but also I don't think he was stubborn enough. He clocked straight after 2 losses. Okay, this is not working. I'm going to revert to a system that necessarily is not this 3-1-6 idea that I have in my head. And I'm just going to play a simple 4-2-3-1. I'm going to play counter-attacking football and I'm going to get results, because results is the best. It's football. It's a results-based business. So I don't think this idea of having a summer, I think that glosses over the real cause and the root of the issue.
Yes and no, because I think had we address the midfield area this summer, I think maybe we never know. This is the thing. It's a game of if, buts, and maybes. The thing is, I just felt that because he had come in mid-season and we did everything in our power to get him in, even though he said to us, could I join the summer? And we told him, no, it's now or never. So we put him under that pressure to come in mid-season, deal with the mess that's at hand, and then expecting him to kind of turn our fortunes. Unfortunately, it didn't turn our fortunes. I felt like we were bad before he arrived, and I think it just continued to show afterwards. But I'm also with you in the sense that his system, there's definitely flaws in it, and there are definitely flaws that we kind of picked up on last season. But I just assumed, you know what? Maybe it's a player quality issue. Maybe it's the quality in the players, because these are the same group of players that let down the previous manager. Maybe the common denominator here is the players and the quality that we have at our disposal. And that's why I just felt like, you know what? Let's just see. Let's give him the window and let's see if things improve. That was my angle. When they asked me, because we did an emergency meeting on SDS, and they asked me, do you think he will succeed? And my answer was, I don't know.
Okay.
And that was my honest opinion.
But don't you think then that itself shows you? I think if you're on the fence about whether he's going to succeed or not, I think that shows you that he hasn't shown anyone enough. Yeah. Not his biggest supporter here. He ain't shown anybody enough to get that back in over 100%. The summer. 100%. And that's why I feel like had he been let go at the end of the Europa League final, we'd be sitting here having a completely different conversation. And this idea that the players got, the former managers sacked, etc., etc. I look at, number one, the way that we play. The way that we play under Amorim is flawed.
Yeah, it's horrible.
I say this all the time. Forget the fact that, look at after the Brentford game, Amorim is so stubborn that his stubbornness is gonna get him sacked. 100%. That is what. Of course, it's the results, and it's So if a manager's coming out many a time saying, "I'm not worried about whether I get sacked or not. I'm here until I get sacked." Basically, it means you don't fear nothing. You're not scared of the implications of your results.
Yeah, and I also feel like the board. I don't know what information they're using. I don't know what data they're looking at, and I don't know what conversations they're having behind closed door for him to feel that way. Because I think him saying that is coming from somewhere. I don't think he's crazy enough to say that.
But the board is on forward watch too.
Oh, they're 100%.
Because they gave him that ultimatum of it's now or never. They knew that changing the entire system of the squad that you have at your disposal and kind of shoehorning them into positions that they're not going to be able to kind of prevail in, that's going to cause problems. Yeah. But they went with the Amorim idea. Like, had they gone for a manager that can play a simple 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3, whatever it is, I think that would have been easier to support.
100%.
Because you got the players already there. Fundamentally, you're not changing much.
You're just trying to get the best out of them. But they took a big risk. Yeah.
And right now, I think I'm not gonna lie, as it goes on and on, I'm just thinking, when are they gonna pull the plug?
No, it's crazy. Do you know what it is? Whenever people say to me, I'm gonna bring Ten Hag into this. When Ten Hag and Amorim, I feel like for me personally, I don't have an attachment to Amorim. So when people are saying, well, I have no attachment, there's no attachment to him whatsoever.
I don't know.
So
I thought you had an attachment to Ten Hag. I thought you had an attachment to Amorim.
Ten Hag, yes, at the time when obviously the whole FA Cup run and everything, yes, absolutely. But for Amorim, there's no attachment, there's no emotional attachment, nothing. So when people are saying to me, get rid of him, I hear it. I even said this on that episode when we did it. I was like to Abs and Lias, if you lot feel that way, it's absolutely justified. Like after that Europa League final, I said anyone that feels that Amorim needs to go, it's justified. But for me, on a personal level, I just said, what? Yes, now it looks mad, but at the time I said, let's actually just give this guy the summer. Because at this point, what do we really have to lose? Because we've been in this situation countless times. Give him the summer, maybe get his players, and maybe let's see if it's a player quality issue or if it's a system issue, and we'll come to find out at the beginning of next year.
Where do you stand
now? Now he can go. Okay. I have no issues. No. For me, he can go. I have no problems, no qualms with him leaving, and that's my thing. Like I came to the season saying, I'm gonna give him 10 games. He couldn't even go. He couldn't even get through the 10 games. Wallah. That's how mad it is. I said I'll give it 10 games, and then I'll give a judgment after the 10 games. After the Grimsby game, I was already thinking he might have to go.
I think when I watch Man United right now under Amorim, I don't believe that this is a team that should be performing that bad.
No.
How can you... Again, I say this all the time. You can't bring in a completely new front three that have scored a combined over 50 goals in their respected leagues who struggle. Yeah. When your wing-backs have more involvement in the final third, that's a problem. When your centre-backs or your wide centre-backs in itself, when your wide centre-backs are the ones who are responsible for building up from the back and you're happy to have a midfielder or midfielders that are not good on the ball fundamentally, that's a problem.
Yes.
And when you have your, the whole conversation about Bruno Fernandes, when you've got your more creative player that excels in the final third, playing in that quarterback role, because that's what I see Bruno as when he plays in central midfield, there's going to be problems. Yeah. And I hate the narrative about Glasner and Conte when he played a back three, or Inzaghi when he was at Inter Milan. If you watch all three of those teams, they play completely different.
Yeah.
Firstly, Inzaghi at Inter was packing out the midfield.
Yeah.
And he had a 2-man front line. Completely different to what Manchester United are doing
Glasner
now.
actually uses his midfield as well. He actually progresses the ball with his midfielders.
Bossing it against Liverpool. They have midfielders that can pull the strings and they're not relying on their right-sided centre-back or their left-sided centre-back. And then when you have, for me, my biggest problem with Amorim, there's a lot of issues that I see, right? But I think it kind of solidified it for me, the Grimsby game, when he brought on, I think it was Mount. I can't remember if it was Grimsby game. It was a game this season. He brought him out and he did it again this weekend and put him at wing back. I'm like,
it doesn't
you
make
can't
sense.
be that serious.
Like, at least revert just for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, just revert to our back four. I'm with you. No, I'm fully with you. I just think, look, statistically talking, Amorim, let's forget even for Manchester, because I know we're doing a rank Manchester United managers. You know, if you was to rank him against any manager in this league, any manager maybe in the last 5 seasons, you know, statistically, he's one of the worst managers to ever perform in the Premier League. We're talking, what was that, the Dutch manager at Crystal Palace?
What's his name?
I can't remember. But even Graham Potter, statistically, he's worse than him.
Graham Potter had a better record than him and he got sacked. West Ham have standards.
It's crazy.
They have standards. In terms of the ranking, where I'd put Amorim, I think there's no debate. This one might be the easiest one we're going to do. For sure.
And we're going to have to put him at 6th because obviously there's 6 managers, so we're going to rank him right at the bottom. He hasn't given us anything, bro. And that's the problem. He hasn't given anyone anything to kind of hold on to or even at least make a case for him.
For me, the best time that I remember under Amorim is when we beat City at the Etihad. That's all I can think of. I can't think of any game. I was thinking this calendar year. I can't think of probably the best game.
Bilbao,
Sociedad.
Maybe?
No, for me, Sociedad. I think it was the home leg. We won 4-1. That was probably the best performance I've seen from Man United under Amorim. But other than that, every other game, even the games against the teams that eventually got relegated, they were smash and grabs.
No, they were. They were smash and grabs.
They were smash and grabs. I saw a stat that said that Sunderland have 12 points this season.
Yeah.
Man United have 11 points since April. Since April to now, we got 11 points in the Premier League.
It's dark.
And that is crazy. But I think we can agree 6, I think, is fine.
No,
that's
100%.
a no-brainer for me. Who would you have at number 5?
Number 5. I've kind of gone with David Moyes at number 5.
Yeah, I can't really argue.
When you look back on it now, given everything that's happened till now, it looks a bit harsh, innit? Do you think it looks harsh?
It looks harsh because also he's the only one out of all those managers and maybe Amorim who didn't get the full season. Man United back then had standards.
They had standards. They had standards.
Because they pulled the plug before the season even ended because they didn't want to risk it. I do think with David Moyes, though, I don't want to say set him up. He didn't have the best of windows in his first summer.
No.
And that's why I don't buy into this whole, you need a summer transfer window, give a manager a summer transfer window. Because yes, Amorim has had his first summer transfer window with Manchester United. Look how it turned out. David Moyes didn't have the best of summer transfer windows in terms of financial backing and the players that he brought in. And he even said it in an interview that the players that he wanted to get, he never got.
He never got.
He never got.
Yeah.
So it's really if buts maybe, had something happen differently. But even the way that Man United were playing, I think I tapped out of that season by like January.
Yeah. I remember that. Like, same how you were saying, Amorim, you can't remember much memorable moments, maybe just the City one. It's very similar to David Moyes. The only thing I remember is the Evra equalizer against Bayern Munich. Did he go? I can't remember if we went to the lead or was it equalizer.
I think we went a goal up. I think.
Maybe
and then I was still celebrating, and then they
scored immediately straight after. But that's the biggest highlight from his whole year.
But you know what? I feel sorry for David Moyes because it's not the easiest to be the manager that comes in after Sir Alex. It's not, and I think in a way he was kind of set up because it was this British coach coming in, Prem proven, all of this hype around, him being the next in line
and being handpicked as well.
Handpicked by Sir Alex Ferguson. It didn't really work out. Had Man United gone down a different route, I always wonder would it have turned out differently at that time. But
I think that set the tone for what was to come after. I think we obviously Sir Alex, he's. Come on.
Yeah, one of the
we never
managers.
really talk bad about Sir Alex. Every time his name comes up, we talk about him being the GOAT.
His
manager.
Involvement though, like off pitch.
His last ever big decision at this club, for me, it's the worst decision he ever made. And that was handpicking David Moyes, in my opinion. I think that was his biggest and his worst mistake, and it happened to be his last one.
And you know what's funny though? It didn't really leave I don't think it left a mark on David Moyes' tenure as a manager because he's gone on to do well. He, won a European Cup with West Ham. It's just that time period. I think United needed a gentle handover process, and I just don't think it happened. Look, I don't want to compare the two, But just look at the way Klopp left Liverpool.
Yes.
When he left Liverpool. And I have this debate all the time with my friends. It was left in a better situation. You know, Liverpool knew that Arne Slot was going to be one of 3 managers that was coming in back in like March, April time. And there wasn't much weight on the shoulders of Arne Slot, all due respect to Klopp. But there wasn't as much weight compared to David Moyes coming in after Sir Alex. So leaving him at 5th, I mean, he's not rock bottom. Luckily for him.
He's not
Luckily
rock
for
bottom.
him, he wouldn't be. And I'm sure he looks at his time differently.
Yeah, 100%. I just think there's a lot of things. Even the way he managed players, I think the pitch was too big for him. The stadium was too big for him. The club was too big for him. That's how it feels. And when I look back on it, that's the only thing I kind of take away from that. It was just, yes, he's a good manager. I just feel like that size of Manchester United, the expectation of him coming after Sir Alex, I just felt like was too much for him. But you're right. I'm fully with you.
This is the fun part.
This is where it gets. This is where 4-1 is where it gets. Yeah. Who are you gonna put at 4th?
You know what? Are we basing it on like just their entire time, the football that they
also
were playing,
your feeling,
the way that they were as a coach?
And also your feeling towards them when they were manager and how you look back on it as well. I think that's important as well because you want to get a sense of how did he make you feel at the time.
This is really interesting because I'm stuck between 2 people right now.
I already know who
both
they
of them
are.
happen to be Dutch as well. I'm gonna go with Van Gaal.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Really?
I'm gonna go with
I was torn between the 2, but I'm gonna go with Louis. Even though I loved Louis Van Gaal just because I thought like the guy says what like you like. I like managers that kind of say it how it is, rather than sugarcoating a lot. And like with other managers, I had an issue with the way they sugarcoat. For me, Van Gaal was like a good middle between what Amorim is and what Ten Hag was.
Yes,
because I felt like Ten Hag just used to chat too much, nothing.
Lie as
and
well.
Ruben Amorim just he started off his tenure saying I will never throw my players under the bus, and then, you know, within less than a year, he's saying, when I win, it's my tactics. When I lose, it's my tactics. Make up your mind. But with Louis Van Gaal, I just felt like that Man United, again, didn't know what they wanted. Until today, we don't know what we want in a manager. Because Louis Van Gaal was, for me, he epitomized the idea of a tactical manager, but we played boring football.
Oh, snooze fest.
But one thing I liked about him was his integration of young players, of the academy players. I think quite a lot of players came through him in terms of all of the managers post Sir Alex from our academy. He gave a lot of people that chance. He, you know, platformed some players very well, but also his man management was very Dutch-ish. Like, if you know Dutch people, you know that they know bullshit. They don't sugarcoat nothing. But sometimes it kind of doesn't work out in the right way. And he was falling out with players left, right, centre, and obviously, most notably, Di Maria. That summer under Van Gaal, I was so gassed when we brought Di Maria. I even went out and brought a United shirt
with Di Maria on the back.
No, I put 7. I put 7 on it, but I don't know if you remember, but we were linked to Vidal at the same time as Di Maria. So I didn't know if we would get Vidal or Di Maria. So I put 7, and I said, let me wait to see who we get. When I saw we got Di Maria, I was so gassed. But before I even got the chance to put Di Maria on it, he fell out with Van Gaal.
Nah, but do you know what it is? I think with Van Gaal, I feel like with the way the football was boring. One, it was snooze fest, but I also felt like we were much harder to beat.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like
defensively, we weren't that bad.
Yeah, and I remember us like, I knew we weren't gonna score goals, or I had that sense of feeling, it's gonna be a 1-0, it's gonna be a 0-0. But I never felt like under Van Gaal where we were like, we're gonna get pumped this game. You know what I'm trying to say? Especially in the big games, I never felt like we were going to go into that big game worried. I never felt like that at any point. Even I remember the Anfield 3-0 away. We haven't won. I don't think we even won there since then.
Since then, no.
Yeah, that 3-0 with the Matters goal. It was just boring. I just didn't feel like it felt like Man United.
But was that the main issue for you with
I think that was just the main issue.
Just the way that
main issue, and obviously, like you said, also falling out with big players as well.
But I think you know what? I think he got done dirty. This might be a hot take.
It was. He did.
The treatment he got after the FA Cup final win is the treatment that Ten Hag should have got. That's my hot take. That's my hot take.
Do you know what it is? I'm with you. It was. I think he got done dirty. But you see, when it's Jose Mourinho though, that we're talking about, and at the time you were talking about Jose Mourinho that just won a Premier League with Chelsea. You know, Real Madrid. Obviously, he's a Premier League legend. He's one of the greatest managers to ever grace this league. Do you know what I mean? So. I wasn't mad at it, at the treatment. I'm not gonna lie to you, I wasn't mad at it because I was like, it's Jose Mourinho though. But like, I did feel sorry for him because I was like, he didn't deserve that just after winning an FA Cup. Because I heard apparently he knew
going into the game
that he was He was fired. Yeah,
but that's what I'm
yeah.
saying. Back then, again, United standards were different. Even though we weren't as great as what we were in, like
We had standards though. You're
when
right.
Ferguson was dominating, they still knew where they were kind of heading with the managerial situation. When Ten Hag won the FA Cup, there was a whole roller coaster for like about a whole month. Is he going to get sacked? Is he going to stay? Is he going to get sacked? Oh, he's getting a contract, a top contract. Again, kind of no blueprint on what to do. Again, it's Ineos's first real year of kind of making the decision, so I get that. But my hot take is, the treatment that Ten Hag got after the FA Cup final
It's
and
what
Van Gaal got,
yeah.
it should have been flipped. It should have been the other way around.
Yeah, it's hard to say. Obviously, now in hindsight, it looks like, okay, we can do that. But I think at the time, it's hard to say. Well, like, because Jose, if it was just any other manager, I would have been like, that's harsh. But because it was Jose Mourinho and they couldn't pass on that opportunity, I understood it at the time. But yeah, I think it's tough.
And
I like
Van Gaal. I can't lie. He's a sweet talker when he talks.
Yeah.
But also I think he's quite likable. But again, the way that he fell out with quite a few players makes me think, you know what, there's more to it. But I appreciated what he did for the youth, because with like right now, another issue with Amorim is I don't think he knows. Not even like bringing them in. I just don't know how. I don't think he knows how to utilize them and get the best out of them. Whereas with Van Gaal, he would platform them, and I think that's what United was built on, which is why, even though United were playing boring football, everyone was gassed. You know, Marcus Rashford coming through the academy ranks at that age.
Yeah.
You had Januzaj. You had all these young kids coming through, and you're thinking, oh, you know what? I'm excited to watch them, and you know that they're going to get an opportunity. You know, you had a young Martial coming out.
Yeah.
After
Yes, that's that's probably his highlight of Van Gaal. Obviously Rashford as well, but Martial that season, I can't lie. I think I always remember Martial.
I associate the two of them
together.
But even with Van Gaal, even again, when we rank managers, I always wonder, like, what do people base them on? Do they base them on what they want? Because Jose Mourinho, he won a lot. Oli didn't win nothing, but he is loved.
Yeah,
He is loved, and we're gonna get to Oli obviously eventually. But for me, when I watch managers, my feeling towards the manager and how I feel about the manager, how do you make the team look? Do I feel excited to watch
them? Yeah,
watch you.
Yeah, that's my metric.
Yeah, because I can look at all the managers that we've had post Ferguson, and I can tell you which era I didn't enjoy watching it.
Yeah,
when it felt like a chore. Right now, under Amorim, recording a reaction video after the game, I hate it.
Yeah.
It feels like a chore. If I was doing content back then under Van Gaal, I probably would have hated it too.
Yeah, no, 100%. So we're gonna put him at.
So we're similar right now.
Yeah, we are similar. Yeah, I think this is where we might disagree.
Maybe.
I think this is where we might disagree. So, who have you got in third?
In third, I got Ten Hag.
Okay, this is where we disagree now, because I got Oli in third.
Why?
I have Oli in third because I felt like it was more of, yes, I think the feeling at the club was probably at its highest.
Mm-hmm.
I think from a fan base point of view, also I think within the club, I think that was probably the best time where the players generally enjoyed being at Manchester United. But I just felt like the football and the tactics were non-existent. I think it was just off vibes.
Mm-hmm.
Which, to be fair, historically, Man United have always been that type of team where they go into the final third and it's like, let's just produce magic. But I just felt like at this level in modern day football, especially when it comes to the big teams and the big games, you need to be tactically equipped. Okay. And I just felt like Oli, time and time again, let us down in those big games, because he wasn't tactically equipped, especially in the semi-finals, for example, the final. I think there's times where, had we had a manager who just had a bit more tactical nuance, I think we would have won a couple of trophies. But I think that was the frustration. Like, that was the frustrating part with Oli. Was like, we used to always get so close, but then we get let down because we always end up coming against a team that just tactically always outdo us. Obviously, looking in hindsight, it is probably the best time in terms of me feeling, and I would do anything to get that feeling again. But I have to judge it based on their time, what they kind of achieved as well. And I felt like Oli was just like, it was nice, but it was always disappointing in the end. And that's why I kind of have to put him in third, for me anyway.
I put Ten Hag in third. Mainly because, and I'm going to get to Oli when I talk about him.
You might as well do, is it, okay?
Yeah, because mine is...
So is yours third and second? Yeah, you might as well do both
Oli,
of them together.
I'll do both of them together. The reason why I put Ten Hag in third is because I can never overlook that Champions League run.
Oh,
I don't think I will ever get over the season that we had in his second year in the Champions League.
Okay.
And we can sit here and talk about Onana. We could talk about all of that stuff. He brought Onana in. That was his goalkeeper. That was his choice, number one. Number two, I think out of all the managers, even with Oli came in as a caretaker manager, interim guy, went on a great run for a 4-month period, got the permanent role. I think there's a lot of memories there with him, PSG, etc. But with Ten Hag, for me, when he was appointed, I felt differently about that appointment, more optimistic. And I felt like it was just disappointing, despite the fact that we won the Carabao Cup.
Yeah.
And despite the fact that, he won the 3 finals in 2 years is good. That's good.
It is.
But the football, the drop-off for me from... Basically, I would say from that 7-0 loss, like firstly, losing to Liverpool, 7-0 should not have you in the top two.
Yeah. No,
that should not have you in the top two.
I get it, but I'm looking at it in isolation.
You're looking at isolation. And I think you're looking at it, obviously, I'm looking at it isolation. I'm looking at how I felt about the manager, how United were playing, what was won, but most importantly, I think the legacy that they left behind. And I think when you... Maybe history will be nice to Ten Hag 10, 15 years from now when people think back. But I don't think... I always thought we can't get any lower than the point that we were with under Ten Hag until Amorim walked in.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm disappointed with the way things have turned out with Ruben Amorim. With Erik Ten Hag, I think that first month of him in the Premier League was, okay, let's figure out. Then we beat Arsenal and we beat Liverpool at home. Yeah. And then everyone was confident. We went on a great run before the World Cup. Yeah. Come back from the World Cup. Marcus Rashford is flying. That January to like early March form, we're Incredible. Flying. Winning the Carabao Cup. We go to Anfield, get slapped. And from there, for me, that was the beginning of Erik Ten Hag's downfall. And that's even looking back at it, because from there, getting knocked out of Europa League, and then that summer transfer window that we had. Now, obviously, looking back, how many of the players did Ten Hag bring in now barely have a role in the team?
No, that's where he...
Compare that to like Van Gaal or like Mourinho or the players that they brought in. They had a bit more longevity. Even if you don't agree with the fact that they were still utilised by, the managers that came in through the door afterwards. Erik Ten Hag's recruitment was not good. It was not good. His first, and this is why I also don't buy into that narrative of a manager needs a window, because you give them a window, you give them free money, monopoly money to spend, and they bring in nonsense like he did. And now you're looking at it, Onana's gone, Højlund's gone, Anthony's gone, Mason Mount can just about be fit. Christian Eriksen doesn't have a role in the team. He's gone, free agent. Man United never wanted to extend his contract. There's not really anyone, Leacher, injury problems. There's not really anyone that I could say is a legacy signing under Erik Ten Hag.
That's why for me he went. That's where he went wrong for me. The recruitment.
Just there?
No, not just there. Not just there. No, not just there. But obviously, I think that's where everything would kind of ultimately fell on the recruitment. I think he recruited really poorly. Whether it was on the club or him, it doesn't really matter. It's just that under his time at the club, the recruitment was really poor, and I think that's what ultimately cost him, because you saw how bad things got in terms of when we're even fielding players. It's like, we got options, but I don't feel like we got options. I just think, if I look at Ten Hag's season in isolation, and that's why I've kind of had him in second, is because
this guy keeps talking about isolation.
No, listen, because you know what it is. No, because you know why? That first season. No, but listen.
Stop talking about isolation.
No, but that first season, I felt like everything, especially in that first 6 to 7 months, I felt like everything was going right for him.
Okay.
I remember the feeling at the time, thinking, wow, like we're coming back. Obviously, the Carabao win. Obviously, going into the FA Cup on final that same season, and then finishing third. I just felt like that first season was a good season, and probably the second best season we've had post-Fergie, probably after the Mourinho season, which we'll come to shortly. I just felt like in that season, it was the best start he could have possibly got for the situation that he was in. I just didn't expect him to continue playing the way he was playing going into that second season.
Did you want him to, or you didn't?
No, because I understood the first season. Obviously, I remember after those first 2 games, which you mentioned before, we got battered.
Yeah.
Brighton, Brentford got battered, and he decided, you know what, I'm going to scrap my system and I'm going to try to just get the best out of the players I've got. And I thought he did that brilliantly in that first season. Yes, there was those crazy freak results, Liverpool and stuff, but I kind of looked past it, and I just thought, it's a one-off. It's still his first season. He's still working with what he's got, and he's trying to build off. And I just felt like, at that point, I'm thinking every sign is kind of working. Even the Sabitzer loan, I thought, okay, that's all right. Like, things just seem to be working for him. But you're right, after that Carabao Cups, when things started to go downhill a little bit, and there were a little bit like warning signs, a bit of red flags. But at that point, I'm thinking, we finished third. We went to 2 domestic cup finals. We won one of them. He ended our trophy drought. I'm just thinking, let's just kind of platform this and kind of build off that. But obviously, you know how things transpired.
That second season for me was unforgivable. Yeah. And I think I'm the opposite of you. I don't even think we were great under an entire season under him. And that's what I'm saying. Like, for me, from September to like early March or end of Feb, first season, you couldn't wish for a better start as your debut year. in the Premier League. And from that 7-0 loss onwards, even going into the second season, I felt like had I been Erik ten Hag, I would have looked at what worked for me in those 6 months and just revert back to that. But with managers that come in with a set way of principles and a style of play and a specific thing that where you don't adapt to the Premier League, because no disrespect, the Dutch league is not the Premier League. So, you're not getting as much time on the ball. You can't leave a midfield as open as you probably could when you're playing in the Eredivisie. And I just think that had he looked at that, and I think a world-class manager would have looked at that and been like, you know what? It works for me. I'm going to continue with this 4-2-3-1, playing two, sitting pivots, play Bruno in the 10, just stay with that, stick with that, because it worked and it got you that. And people might say, oh, but we were able to win the FA Cup under Ten Hag. Shortly after the FA Cup, it came out that him and Fletcher were clashing heads on how to approach the final against City. And in the end, Wilcox pushed, and this is on The Athletic if you don't want to go check out the article, Wilcox pushed for Man United to play the way that Fletcher wanted, which was to sit back in that 4-2-3-1 shape and hit in transition, which is what Man United did. Had we played the way that we played throughout the season, which was Erik ten Hag's way, I don't think we would have won the final.
No, we wouldn't. Because we would have been too exposed.
And that's why I even think he came out. I don't know if you remember after the FA Cup when he was being interviewed and he was like, if they want to sack me, that's fine. I'll just go win trophies elsewhere. The joke's on you, my friend. You got sacked after 2 games in the Bundesliga.
Yeah, now, you know what? It's tough because even that second season, the reason why, and I don't take back anything. I was one of those people that said, give him the next season. And I don't take it back because I felt like also the context of that season was that we had a lot of injuries. He did, and I felt like because we had made that mistake, not necessarily a mistake with Van Gaal, but I felt like because we'd done Van Gaal wrong, I just felt like a manager to be able to beat Man City in a cup final, have all the injury problems that you had, I gave him a benefit of the doubt that I should have realistically been like, you know what, this is probably the perfect time for you to go, and we just kind of move on, you move on. But ultimately, we got the confirmation we needed in that next season.
But even with, like, the reason why I put Oli second is, for me, your bread and butter, and even though Oli didn't win the Premier League, your bread and butter as a manager is your league. Everything else you do, it's like an add-on. It's a benefit.
Yeah, you're right.
And that's why I probably didn't put as much emphasis on Ten Hag's FA Cup. I don't put too much on the Champions League run, but again, it's humiliating. It's the worst Manchester United Champions League run.
And it is on him.
Even in the league, statistically, he was horrible. Literally, the number of points dropped. The games that we lost away, the number of teams that, people were coming to Old Trafford, Bournemouth, Nottingham Forest, happily
just popping us
3 points, walking away back home on the M6 or whichever way they're going. And it was Old Trafford moved from being a fortress in his first year to being a dustbin afterwards, where people are just
and it still is
normal to come to Manchester United and take 3 points. And whereas with Oli, I think one thing that I really liked under Oli, and something that we have not had in a long time since he's left, is that kind of togetherness of the players.
Yes.
Where the players genuinely look like they want to play together. And I don't like to kind of push on this whole player power thing and, they choose which manager they want to play with. But you can tell that the players genuinely enjoyed playing
under
for Oli because
100%.
They had a lot of creative freedom. And, you watch some of the best players in world football right now, the creative players. They are players that are given free reign. They can just run out and express themselves. Football is a form of expression. You go out onto the pitch and you express yourself through your football. And I feel like nobody was kind of held in the blocks because of Oli, despite the fact that we didn't win anything. I don't think we've had a better finish since Oli left.
I remember that NHS run. That's probably the best football. That's the best football we've ever played since post-Fergie.
And I think that front three, they had one of the highest goal involvements combined
ridiculous.
in the entirety of Europe.
There's definitely highs from that time. I just feel like the disappointments were also loud.
Definitely, I agree.
That's not my only thing.
But I'll be honest though, I'll be honest. When we lost in that Europa League final, and you had Rashford come out after the game, speak to the media, you had Oli. I believed. They made me believe that next season, we will be able to go into it. Whereas with, current managers, I don't think like Amorim or even former ones like Ten Hag, I don't think there was much accountability on their side when Manchester United lost. Had it been in, a league game, it's true, because I think Ole is the one manager that accountability. He would take the full blame. He'll take full blame, and he wouldn't throw his players under the bus. I don't necessarily like managers that throw players under the bus, especially when, for me, a manager should take the blame. Yeah. Even if it's not your fault.
But it falls on your head though.
In public, you take the blame, deal with it behind closed doors. Yeah. And I think that feeling with Oli is probably, in terms of who I felt would get us to the kind of other end. Yeah. I think I always felt that with Oli, and also Man United were playing the most exciting football that we've
Under
we had.
Oli as well, yeah.
So for me, I put him there, despite the fact that he didn't win anything. He's actually him and if Amorim gets sacked, they'll be the only two managers that never won anything as a Manchester United manager. And David Moyes, I don't know, Community Shield, I don't know if it counts.
I think it's fair. I think it's like, look, it's a toss up between those two, but I think it's fair to say, like, I'm not mad at you putting second. I think it's a fair judgment to make. So that means we both got one person in first.
Jose Mourinho.
Jose Mourinho. Do you want to start us off?
Huh?
As to why you got him in first? This
He's
one,
a
even
Mourinho,
this one,
isn't it?
no, because even this one, I still got mixed feelings. But like, he's definitely the clear winner in this ranking. But even with him, I still have issues with his time at Man United.
100%.
But it's definitely the best period.
Me, you guys, I'm a huge Pogba fan. So the way him and Pogba's relationship turned out, it left me a bit salty. I'm not gonna lie, it left me a little bit salty.
Embarrassing as well. I can't lie to you publicly as well. It was embarrassing.
You're seeing it on Sky Sports in 4K.
Yeah.
But with Jose, I never really felt like, I always felt like we would get results. We will improve. Even when we were down, like Oli and Jose for me made me feel like if we're down a game, we will come back.
Yes.
I always felt that that could be a possibility. And even towards the end of his tenure, that was still the case. United finding it got toxic. And I think out of all the managers that Man United have had, I think it was the most toxic under Jose. I don't think it was more toxic than anyone else.
It wasn't. I think it was toxic in the dressing room. It was toxic in the stadium. It was toxic just everywhere. Online, at Old Trafford.
But you know what
it
happens?
was just everywhere.
I think when you have a big personality manager like Jose, and then you got players with big personalities as well in the team, I think that was my first full exposure to Manager FC and Player FC. That's the first time I ever saw people kind of drawing a line between the two. And since then, everyone's been running with it. Every time it's player versus manager. And I agree. I think it was the most toxic under him. But he's Jose Mourinho. I think when he said him finishing second with that United team, in hindsight, now everyone's looking back and thinking,
he was spitting. I'm kind of, do you know what it is? I think he's the one that I was most relieved out of any manager when he left, because of how toxic things became. And we did end up becoming boring. But one thing I will always give credit to Jose Mourinho is that first season, of course, him coming in, bringing on those big players, Ibrahimovic, Mkhitaryan, Pogba, and then obviously delivering the European Cup and then obviously a domestic cup in his first season. That is probably, and even, it's not even just about delivering the cups, because Ten Hag did the same thing. It was about the performances we were putting in that season. And I felt like under Mourinho was the only time where I felt like we were putting teams to sleep. But then also we weren't getting battered. If we did lose, it was always like by like 1 goal deficit or whenever. And it wasn't like we lost a crazy amount of games either. We were a hard team to beat. But unfortunately, we always came up short against a Man City team at the time that was just on a generational run. But yeah, I just felt like it was the only time where I felt like as a Manchester United, we were more secure. We would dominate games, but then also we will come frail against certain teams and certain moments that could have potentially pushed us to win a league title, or maybe go further in the Champions League. But I definitely felt the most secure.
I totally agree. And even like, I think if I'm not wrong, he's got after Alex Ferguson, I think he's got the best win percentage,
100%.
But also he drew quite a ton load of games in the Premier League.
Too pragmatic as well.
Very pragmatic. And it's funny because you look at it now, and I always, like, for me, I hated playing against Mourinho when he was at Chelsea, you know. But when he was at United, I couldn't believe my life. I was like, oh my God, we got Jose Mourinho. It felt ridiculous. And obviously history, again, another manager that I think history will be kind to is him on his time at United. Because I think when he left, and maybe that's probably what pushed Oli up in my ranking, is the kind of turnaround that he had with the players in terms of the emotional state and just the mentality and all of that.
And that PSG game.
You know, what I swear to you, if that was Amorim today, and we're 3-1 down against PSG,
and it's never, forget about
he's coming out before the second leg, and he's saying,
I don't know how my team is going to play.
But Ollie's there saying, mountains are there to be climbed. He's making you believe like you want to go to war with him.
It's
and
true.
I felt something similar with Jose. It's just, for me, the way that his tenure came to an end, and even with I think he was let down a little bit with his recruitment.
He was, and I think that was the frustrating part for him as well. And he voiced that frustration a lot publicly, and that's what that was my issue with Mourinho. I think he just spoke too much in the presses. I think he just spoke too much about players. I remember the Luke Shaw saying he's controlling him like it's a PlayStation. Like, you don't say stuff like that.
No. But come on, you know. Sometimes some people are lying, but sometimes people are spitting, because he said when Luke Shaw's on the pitch.
I control it.
Yeah, it's his body, but it's my brain.
Come on. That's
He's
a mad
telling the
thing.
truth.
But that's a no. I know,
truth.
bro. Like it's definitely true, and there's a lot of things that we see that we know. You know, we can see with our eyes what's going on. But I just feel like as a manager, when you're doing that, it just creates not only a toxic environment.
It does, 100%.
From the media as well, because media will then take that and just run with it. But then also the players are gonna look at you thinking, how are you doing our teammate like that? Do you get me? And that's what end up happening. Essentially, is that
it's a domino effect.
Yeah, it's a domino effect, and then that's what you end up getting that player FC, versus manager FC. But all in all, that's our list.
Decent, I think. So we only disagreed on.
We only really disagreed on the two. But you know what? You swayed me. I'm not gonna lie.
Really?
Well, you swayed me because I feel like listening to you.
I'm shocked you got Ten Hag out.
And you know what it is? Because of the emotions I'm feeling now with Amorim, I would do anything to get those feelings back. So, and also because you're a guest, I'm gonna go with you.
No, but also I think you had like a. I'll be honest, guys. I think Liban had a very unhealthy infatuation with Ten Hag. I think you have a very unhealthy infatuation with him.
I don't know what it is. I don't think it's necessary. I always say this as well. I was saying that during that time. I was like, it's not about Ten Hag for me. For me, it's just I hate the idea. I don't want us to become a Chelsea. I don't want us to be that type of club that just sack managers, hire managers, sack managers, hire managers, sack managers, and then just hope. And Real Madrid have historically been doing that. I just feel like Man United, that's not who we are, and I just feel like I didn't want us to.
That's not who we are because we've had Sir Alex for
of
so
course.
long.
Yes, but I just feel like if you get
that's not us anymore.
It's not us anymore, and that's what upsets me.
Yeah,
and I think that's what it is. I'm still trying to hold on to that, and I think that's what ultimately is me emotionally trying to hold on to this idea that we can find a good manager and we can find a manager that we can build it for years, and it's just frustrating that, of course, times have changed, things move fast now. Results buys you time, but I also feel like people choose to also ignore context when it comes to quickly moving on managers. And I feel like with Amorim, I feel like last season was too early. And then I felt this now, I feel like I'm like, he can go now. Do you know what I mean?
I don't think that's where I disagree with you. Yeah. I don't think anything has changed. And obviously this is in hindsight. But even at the time, I was saying back in March, April, nothing's going to change with a summer and a preseason.
Yeah. And ultimately, you were right.
Ultimately, you were right. Nothing's going to change because, what is it? A leopard don't change its spots.
Yeah,
what you're seeing in that time, I always say take it at face value.
Yeah.
If this was like a 1 in every 6 games you're seeing a bad result, I would be like, okay, cool. But it's 5 in 6.
It's
5.5 in 6. It's not
if that,
if we're lucky.
If that.
You know, man, honestly, to win 9 games.
Yeah. Now, wallahi,
winning 9 games.
You know what it is? I feel offended when I watch United nowadays. Wallahi, I'm like, I can't believe
what
you're
were you
feeling
feeling 5 months ago, 6 months ago? You weren't feeling offended?
I wasn't feeling, but do you know what it is? That Europa League run distracted me.
Okay.
Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, it gave me some glimmer of something to look
at
forward
least
to.
you're being honest.
I'll be honest. It gave me something to look forward to. And at the same time, I was like, you know what? Let's see if he gets better plays, how this system improves. And unfortunately, it hasn't improved. Yes, he hasn't got his midfielders, but I don't care. You got a whole front three of like, that cost you 220 million. I don't care. I need to see something. You're making them look average. So for me, that's what it is. But I'll be honest with you. I've cut ties with him. For me, it doesn't really matter from this point onward what he does because I don't see it. I see the writing on the wall anyway, so... it's just another,
I actually think, like I said, not sacking him at the end of last season, I think has kind of just delayed the inevitable at this point. And we're still early in the season. There's only 6 games in. Man United we have nothing to play for this season. Let's be honest. There's nothing to play. Maybe FA Cup when it starts. So getting in a new manager at this period of time
might salvage something.
It could salvage something because there's still so much football to play. I feel like if we find ourselves again November, December in that situation,
forget about it.
The season's written off at that point. The season is written off, and you're looking even at the pool of managers available in terms of, because people always say to me, if Amorim leaves, who do I want? For me, it's not about the name. Like, for me, name doesn't carry weight as manager. It does.
Because I feel like anyone could come in right now, just revert to a 4-3-3, and you're going to get better results. You're going to get better results. So I'm with you.
And that's what I want. 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, whatever it is, just bring in a manager that can do that and just say you need to win games. I don't care how you do it.
You know what? Sean Dyche was spitting, man. Sean Dyche was spitting. Well, I was spitting.
That is, for me.
He was spitting still.
No, but that says a lot, that a manager can sit on a podcast and say, I could get better results than him. And Man United should hang their heads in shame when Sean Dyche is saying that. And he's a good manager, by the way. I'm not saying it because he's a bad manager.
We're Manchester United. That's the way it ultimately is, though. But it's the fact
that he's pointing it out, and he knows, Sean Dyche knows what he's known for. He's known to come in and salvage someone's season.
Make it stability.
Salvage their season, make sure they stay up, play low block football, and just get results. And he's telling you, despite the fact that Amorim is playing attacking football, he's telling the guy who plays low block, is saying, I could get better results.
That's a crazy. Problem. It's a problem.
That's a big problem.
Yeah, no, it'll be.
Is there any manager you want in the market?
There's a few. I'm between Glasner, Eddie Howe, if possible, and Areola.
Okay,
and
so
I think they're the three
managers.
managers right now in the Premier League that are like consistently, and I feel like they're all adaptive managers, you know, who not just get results but know how to get the best out of their players and also improve players. And I think that's what Manchester United need. So I'll be honest with you, right now, wallahi, like I would take anyone. That's not the point I'm
beggars
at.
Can't be
Beggars can't be choosers. So that's where we're pretty much at. But listen, I appreciate you coming down. Wallahi, like I appreciate this video as well. I feel like it was a therapy session. It was a bit of a therapy session. I feel like
I told you from when I saw him when I walked in the studio, I said, you need to answer for your crimes.
Do you feel justified?
Not really, no, because I still think you got infatuation with Ten Hag.
No, I'm over it now.
Like
now,
with Amorim
now it doesn't matter for me.
With Amorim, I think you've kind of held your hands up.
Yeah.
The storm has passed.
Yeah,
whatever.
no, it was, yeah. For me, I didn't have an attachment to Amorim, to be honest. He never gave me anything to attach to.
Because you're still heartbroken.
At least Ten Hag gave me something. He gave me a cup, 2 cups. He gave me something to hold on to where I could at least put a case up. But Amorim's giving me nothing. So that's why I don't even feel the need to defend him like that. You know what I mean? If people feel like he needs to go, wallahi, it's justified. I'm on that boat now anyway. So it is what it is. But I hope you lot enjoyed the video. If you want to definitely see more videos with Mina, please let us know with a comment. I think she smashed it today still. And I think we'll definitely do some more videos, inshallah, in the future. But yes, let us know in the comments what you think and give us your rankings as well. And we'll see you next time. Peace.